Good afternoon on what is a grey, overcast but mild day. It is Friday, the 28th of January, back in the Read Nook with a cat who is not ours, a nice hot cup of tea, and a couple of parcels to go through. So we're going to start off with this one, rather roughly packaged, but let's find out what is in here. There's quite a few things in here. It's quite a heavy package. Let's see if I can get this open. There's a lot of plastic on it. That's one bit gone. You see, a bit of a fight with this, but I will persevere. Get it open, and he's going, "Why are you ignoring me?" Okay, so basically torn it open, and you can see there's some things. I can move his tail. There we go. There's some books in here. So let's find out what is in here. If I just tear off what I've got here is Leaves of Chiaroscuro, or Chiaroscuro, Exploration and Intrigue in a Strange and Wondrous Renaissance, using the Powered by Fate, and it is basically a publisher. So, beyond a doubt, truth bears the same relations to falsehood as light to darkness. Leonardo da Vinci. Welcome to the alternate reality world of Ashaya. Here, even the most fantastic promises of the Renaissance have blossomed into realities. Dragons soar alongside Da Vinci's flying machines, while wizards weave in illusions as intricate as any of Machiavelli's machinations. Yet on all this wonder, rot grows and spreads. Noble houses and factions feud. Reactionaries threaten to destroy all that has been built in this grand age. So what it provides is a setting focused on alternate reality Italy in the world of Ashaya. Information on the strange realms of the great beyond, from the fairy to the Sitra Ahara. Details on enchanted places where those other realms impinge upon Ashaya. 6-player character or species, from angelic Nephilim to bestial Therion. Player character friendly rules for dragons in the Fate RPG system, a wealth of new stunts and optional rules, an improvisational magic system, a section dedicated to the Red City of Bologna, complete with a wealth of NPCs, detailed locations, a full adventure, and more. So, that is the Leaves of Chiaroscuro, and he is now getting a nice, good head scratch, which he's really enjoying. So all of you who have tuned in for cat who's not ours, he's getting some attention there. So anyway, so looking inside, this is full colour, and we open up with, let's have a look, contents page where you've got part 1 and part 2 of the Red City. It's quite a chunky little book, and then we go on to the list of contents. We've got an introduction there, and it's a mixture of artwork in here. I'm just seeing a lot of it, obviously, because it's the fantastic artwork. You because it's set during the Renaissance, you have free license to use a lot of the period art, and it's worth using. It's fantastic artwork. So there we go. And the period is always is an interesting one, because it's a rapid change in terms of politics and society and science and technology, and the growth of just the rapid widespread acceptance of art, and great art throughout the period. And you'll see this obviously showcased throughout this book. Some of it is you kind of go, well, that's okay art, I suppose, but of course in comparison to the other artwork, you're kind of going, that's no great master. And how could it be? Because obviously, anyway. So here we have, we've got a lexicon, so we have an ethereal realms. Black death is rampant. It's a supernatural plague that ravaged the known world. Those who died often rose as hungry walking corpses. This is the single major new supernatural event that the known world has seen in several hundred years, and was followed by L'avion de magie. After L'avion de magie, the Black Death was reduced to a mundane disease. They're still terrible. So it's obviously a major turning point in the setting. You know, the Black Death has been it's been known for a very long time. We often think of it obviously as a basically medieval disease, but it wasn't. It predates that, so it's quite important. It's an important turning point how it was treated in this setting. So the timeline: Age of Legends, the Black Death, 1348 to 1353, followed by the L'Avion de magie. So in 1348, the scourge known as the Black Death reached the shores of Italy, and there it spread, nearly bringing the known world to its knees. Those who died from the Black Death rose as hungry dead to consume the living unless granted proper burial. Many people believed the world was at its end. Certainly there was a supernatural event of a scale which had not occurred since before the end of the Age of Legends. And this was followed by the L'Avion de magie, where it was turned into a mundane disease, the awakening of the Great Worm, and the Council of Magie unites the British Isles under their rule. Royal Britain is formed on the mainland, and so on. And we have basically continuing timeline throughout. So they've got an overview of the world. There's a map of Italy there, and it's obviously it's a map of city-states. So here we start detailing those states, starting with Bologna, and Florence, and so on. So that's giving you background about each city, its region, architecture, the mages, trade, and so on. And does the same for Milan and Naples. Again, accompanied by these period maps, which, well, certainly near period maps. They're very fitting. They're period maps. Dealing with things like the Naples Underground. Again, you have this kind of contrast between the two styles of artwork. But then does the same thing for when we're basically mages in Pompeii. So Pompeii still exists. Basically, Pompeii city, fire ancient and long forgotten, was reborn in this setting. So that's interesting. And there's a monarch there. And then we have treatment of Rome. It's the same thing. Basically, it does deal with the truth about Romulus and Remus. Then we go on to Sicily, and you deal with things like the mafioso, what else we've got? Venice, of course. Venice, and then we've got the religions. The dragon cult and the draconic pantheon, and basically their worship as gods. So we have the Hydra, Vortigern, Tarrasque, a lot of classic names there. Then we have the Malak Imperium, which is the ancient Atlantis of the Nephilim, and their presence in the world. So this is quite a radical, different world. It's really doing a even more fantastical treatment of the Renaissance than we're normally used to. And then we've got factions like the Artisans Guild and Blood of Adams, and options, things like the Blood of Adam, how to include that for the player characters. Sisterhood of the Phoenix and the Witch Guard. All things, you're really going to... Lots of things in here which the referee can bring into play, and this is all before we get on to the multiverse. Basically looking at the world tree and the end of the Age of Legends, and then essentially looking at the nature of the world beyond our own planetary spirits and more. And there are lots of different avatars, anchors and possessions treated in here. Enchanted places, magical beasts and enchanted realms like cockatrice. So you're already being presented with sort of like almost a semi-bestiary Hound of Tindalos, which you bring down through the angles, of course, and each one has got their own stunts. So you have Hound of Tindalos stunts there. So that's dealing with sort of like the world beyond our own, and that includes the fairy, and the dream realms, the Lemure or ghosts. So it's a fairy, and Circe's Island can still be found. So that legend exists. So it's a mixture of almost the sort of like the classic Greek myth in there as well. And this is a huge amount of background in here before we begin to get onto characters and groups. So that might be, they talk about groups essentially as organisations that the player characters belong to. So, so they might be exploration companies or noble houses. Could be a mercenary company or a merchant house, something like that. And then we get on to actual proper character generation, and this is fate. So you'll have your aspects, languages, species, list of skills there. And the art covers, for example, painting and so on. It's going to be an important skill. And you've got lots of different stunts in here. And the interesting thing, of course, is, interesting here is with each skill, you've got an explanation of, how it can, the art, or the skill can overcome, create an advantage, attack or defend. But I mean, you would have to necessarily think about how that works in the game. But there's hints there for all of them. New stunts, and then we got to species. Again, not a huge fan of the artwork outside of, well, of course you've got to be a fan of the Renaissance artwork, but it's not that good. So humans, and let's have a look. Arion, Children of the Elements. Complete with the traits and stunts, of course. Nephilim, Children of the Fallen Angels. So we got Nephilim traits. Therion, both beast and men. So beast men in the setting as well. So, examples of that kind of classic kind of examples, and even we get on to Children of Set from distant Egypt and their traits. And then we have Lacerta, Scions of the Dragon Gods. So lots of different options in here. Cambion, Cursed Children of Fiends. So you've got scope here for politics, of course, creation and adventure, inventions, and I would think, politics, intercity rivalries, exploring the new world, all that sort of thing. And this, of course, would the whole setting of like a whole different type of magical new age of Renaissance essentially would add a lot of different little tweaks and hooks and so on for you running a Renaissance style of a game. And it's we've got delving into legends. We have enchanted materials. We have adamantine and also, I'll just show you the page, I've almost lost it. Golden apples and chthonic pomegranates. So again, Greek myth. I mean, it's interesting that they're drawing on these, obviously, in a lot of cases because they're obviously depicted in the artwork of the period. Ichor as well, or Ichor, and Auriculum, the metal. Explanation of how that works. And then magic. So we've got magical system. Whether that's taking oaths or being a warlock. So there's lots of interesting options again in here. Thaumaturgy is also discussed and mentioned. And we've got rules for enchanting magical items. Before we get onto them, we've got the many paths of magic, including shapeshifting, elemental magic as well, example death spells, example light spells. So you know the players have scope here to create their own, but there's examples here if you want to get started fairly quickly. And then we've got the Red City, which is your guide to the base setting, which is the city of Bologna, so that comes with basic backgrounds, in addition to what earlier presented in the book, and we've got faction adventure seeds and rumours. So those are obviously spurs to adventure for the referee and his players, and various things. So I'm just trying to think. Locations. I know there's an adventure in the back here somewhere. University, ancient Roman road, and the Bronze Owl. Wandering Time and the Wanderer's Mask. There's an NPC that can be encountered in the city. And where are we? Basically the towers. Bologna has many great towers, and there's two particular, a number of which are explored here. Okay, we've got an NPC gallery. So we've got NPCs, potential patrons, and contacts that the enemies that the player characters might encounter. So that's Giovanni II. That's the tyrant of Bologna, and then Velasco. Very different to what I imagine you would think he looks like. And then we have at the back, we've got useful things like a list of Italian surnames. So that is Leaves of Chiaroscuro. Obviously, just got a name of the publisher at all, but I'll put a link down in there too, where you can find this. It's copyright Megan Bennett-Burks, so that's an interesting setting. Probably available, I know, on the Drive-Thru RPG. Anyway, thank you very much for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please do click the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with parcel and a book, which I will unbox, I'll chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing and in the Nook soon. Bye for now.